You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Hey everybody, this is Mike Rotunda, also known as IRS, Erwin Shyster, formerly with WWF.
What's going on? It's your girl, Valentina Loca.
Hey everybody, this is Rip Studwell.
Hello everybody, it's Ethan Everhart.
What is up, wrestling world? This is the resident rock star of Impact Pro Wrestling, Adam Love.
This is Lars Metzger.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your golden boy, Bryce Jordan.
Woo! It's the Cornbell Cowboy.
The one called Manders, and you're listening to Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. I'm your host, Zach Tagus, and we are continuing the road to Bridge City Slam. We are just a couple of weeks away. Hard to believe. Already, I know, Clint, you were there for just very briefly earlier, but we had a meeting of the minds earlier with Austin Bayless and a couple other fine folks that are helping plan this whole thing. And even he was kind of shocked already that here we are, man. We're a couple weeks away, buddy.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. Almost just 2 weeks away, basically. So it'll be here before we know it, and then we'll already be out Bridge City Slam 6.
Yeah, we'll get out of Memorial Day weekend, and then it's all steams ahead to hard to believe that's going to be the first weekend of June there already. And here we are for Bridge City Slam, and I'm excited, man. It's a great event, as we've been talking about here the last several weeks. We got a lot of fun things planned. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. First of all, you are actually sponsoring a matchup with your tag team photography there. Let's talk a little bit about that. We got, of course, AJ Smooth versus Jossie, two of the best Iowa independent wrestlers Iowa has probably ever seen. Anytime you've seen both of these men in action, you're in for a treat. Jaw's been doing this for a while. EJ, I feel like, has been doing this ever since I started going to independent shows back in 2005, if not shortly thereafter. So, this match is going to be really, really badass.
Yeah, a year ago, I think it was the day that you at the Hall of Fame when we had lunch. Remember that? Afterwards, Austin and I walked around Waterloo a little bit, and we were just talking about Bridge City Slam and CEW, and he asked me what I wanted to do for Bridge City Slam. Last year I sponsored Carlito, and he almost had a flight delay and everything like that, but he ended up making it to the show and did a great job. And so this year when it came around and he asked me what I wanted to do, I was like, I wanted to create a showcase, where we bring in two guys that we know will just go out and tear down the house. And from the very beginning of this idea and concept, these were the two guys I had in mind from the beginning. It's two guys I've seen numerous times in various promotions, and every time they always deliver. They always deliver good, high quality matches, competitive matches. They can bring the crowd in and just really get them involved in it. And so when he gave me the green light to start looking to create this Iowa Showcase match, I reached out to both those guys, and they were both willing and ready to do it. And now it's coming together. And then the icing on the cake is Mr. Bayless put Earl Hebner as the guest referee to give it a little bit extra oomph to it, so it's coming together nice. I'm really looking forward to this. Like I said, these are two guys that I've thought would make a great matchup, and I respect everything that they're able to do and their ability to connect with the fans, whether getting the fans to cheer them or boo them. They're both top notch at what they do. And so I think it's going to be a great one for the fans to see, and I'm proud to sponsor it. I'm hoping this is just the start of the tag team photography showcase match every year for Bridge City Slam is kind of what I'm hoping this is. So,
it's going to be a really great match between these two that I don't know that we've seen, and if we have seen it, it hasn't been very often.
I've never seen it. I
was trying to think back. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen these two tangle up together. So this should be an absolutely stellar matchup. I mean, the Hall of Fame show I think it was the first year after COVID when they did that tournament back. Josh C had one of the best run of tournament matches I've ever seen. Like Josh C is just such a tremendous storyteller that he's gonna steal the show. And AJ again, with so much experience, he's gonna be able to go with anybody. That's just what AJ is. AJ is one of the absolute best out there. Now, I noticed your shirt there. You're wearing a Jared Thumb shirt.
Yeah, I got the Jared Thumb shirt on.
while we're on that subject, let's move on to his matchup. One that I'm super excited for. Jared and Damian Cint are going head to head. We saw what happened at the last Central Empire Wrestling show where Damian Cint cost Jared Thumb his basically his shot at winning the Legends Battle Royal there. And yeah, I'm excited for this one, man. You and I have both grown to know the man behind Cint very, very well over the years, and we think very highly of him. And again, Jared's just a great dude, and I think these two, especially with this being a grudge match, dude, I'm really excited to see what these two can come up with.
Yeah, this one, I mean, it goes back a few years. If you think back to 2020 and the pandemic and everything, the Power Slam 4, with all those guys that were part of Power Slam, Jared was there, and that's where Cint made his CEW debut, and it was in a triple threat match that Jared was fighting for the title. Rory, Jared, and JT. It was a triple threat match, and Damian Cint debuted. He didn't focus his attention on Jared at that time, but no winner came from that match. Well, fast forward 3 and 4 years, they've been in tag matches, tag rivalries over the belts. Like, they've always just kind of been there, but they've never really had that opportunity to just tear into each other. And then when Damian Cint made his return and he targeted who he wanted, put that target right on Jared Thumb's back, that battle royal, and cost him the match, really started the ball rolling. And now they get the opportunity to just lay into each other. And Jared wants the CEW title, but he knows he's got to get rid of this cancerous parasite that he considers trying to ruin his plans and just keep him away from everything. So Jared wants to move on to bigger and better things, but he's got this dark cloud he's got to get past first in Damian Cint. And I think they're really going to be out to try and steal the show with a fight. It's going to be a good old fashioned brawl type fight between those two. And I'm interested to see how it pans out.
Yeah, I don't think this one's gonna be your standard wrestling match, which is good, which is fine, because there's gonna be a lot of great wrestling on this card here. And yeah, this one is definitely not gonna be your standard wrestling matchup. These two dudes do not like each other. So this is going to be an absolute brawl. And yeah, it's gonna be I'm really excited for this one. I'm curious to see where Austin places it on the match order for that evening. Again, this is the 5th Bridge City Slam that we've had. Hard to believe it's already been 5. You've been a part of quite a few as well as I have. What are some, before we kind of continue the match talk here, what have been some of your, I guess, most fond memories of Bridge City? Because you've been part of 4. I've been a part of 4. The only one that I missed was the one right out of the pandemic, was the only one that I had missed. Otherwise, I've been part of, this will be my 4th as well. So
yeah, we moved up here right after the first one. So I hadn't come across CEW yet. So I missed the first one, and I've been a part of each one since then. And there's been so many matches and moments. You got to go back to last year, Storm Thomas and Austin Bayless, and the match they had, just the story they told. Granted, as we know, in wrestling, retirements are never permanent, and Storm's back, which is fantastic. I'm sure we'll talk about that more later. But that story they told that night was just one of a kind, and you can't talk about Bridge City Slam without mentioning Mr. Bridge City Slam, the champion, JT Energy. I mean, I've seen him beat Hall of Famer and Jerry the King Lawler, seen him avenge a loss, an embarrassment for Monday Night Raw, beating Eric Rowan. We've seen him come along as champion. We saw him defend the honor of CEW last year against Trevor Murdoch. So he's really taken that moniker and made it his, and it means something. It means something to him to be Mr. Bridge City Slam. And you can tell the fans really appreciate that. He kind of had that change of heart last year, and it was at Bridge City Slam where, like the Grinch, his heart grew 3 sizes. Bridge City Slam before. And he became the man, and since then he's been an honorable champion. So those are some of the moments too, outside of that matches. The tag match between oh man, I can't remember the Full Throttle Pro champions that came up. I can't even remember their names right now. I'm feeling embarrassed on that. They had a hell of a tag match. JTG and Storm Thomas was another fantastic match at a Bridge City Slam. Chris Masters came in and took on Rory Fox and everything like that. Seeing Matt Cardona, he didn't wrestle. He didn't even have to be there. He got hurt and he still showed up. So that showed me a lot that he still showed up for the event. I know he thought it was pretty cool, the layout we have with the long ramp. I know he thought that was a pretty cool deal. For him to show up and still do that was cool. And then, of course, the ladies that have been there, Victoria, obviously, and Candice Michelle, were cool to see. And seeing Victoria wrestle and take on, or she ref, but then she showed Valentina Loca that she still had quite enough in the tank. So, it's a big day. Lots of fans come in. It's got the fan fest. So it's a great day to create memories. And I think there's going to be more this year.
Yeah, one thing I'm really excited about this year, I can say that we're going to do some type of live podcast kind of before. I know the Fan Fest starts at 4, so I think maybe around 3 or even 3:30, we're going to do some type of live podcast right outside. And so everybody's lined up and waiting. We are going to have a live Shotgun Wrestling Radio podcast out in the waiting area. We're going to hopefully bring in some guests that I wasn't able to more or less line up for the countdown shows that I've been building up here. I know we're going to also be doing some free giveaways. So Austin's got some fun little stuff that he wants me to give away while we're doing that. So I know we're going to have some fun little CEW trivia that we're going to have to go with those, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, if you guys are worried about getting there at a certain time, again, we're going to make it fun. We're going to do a little live, like I said, live podcast, hopefully get some guests from the night of the event on there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be exciting to be a part of it. And, again, this year with the addition of the Hall of Fame ceremony, that's something new for Austin and company. And the two big names being inducted this year, obviously Storm Thomas and Sean Nautilus. And you want to talk about two guys who represent Central Empire Wrestling, those two especially. And Storm, the thing I've always loved about Storm and given him so much credit for, I mean, that dude still lives down in Florida. Yeah. I mean, for him, and with the way flight prices are, for him to still be willing to fly back and forth just to even a little town, I know he's kind of from there, but just to fly to Oskaloosa and do a show and just kind of do that for as often as he was able to. I always respected the hell out of that, because how many guys do you know that would have flown from Florida, every month or every other month just to do a little indie booking?
Yeah, and anytime I mention Storm Thomas to anybody talking wrestling and everything, I just have to give so much praise to him. I've mentioned it over and over again with other people. He was the first wrestler I ever interviewed after we moved up here. He was planning, he was moving back home, and it was going to be his last CEW show for a while, the 10-year anniversary show, the first show I ever attended. And he was cool enough to meet with me, and I interviewed him for one of the newspapers here, and he sat and talked with Emmett and I, my son, for a good 45 minutes before the show, and just did an interview. And since then he's just been fantastic. So to see him back in the fold and really diving back into it's really cool. And then now the Hall of Fame induction, you couldn't find a more fitting person to go into the Hall of Fame the same night as Sean Nautilus too, which we know their history and everything like that. So it's kind of poetic that they're going in the same night together. I know, a lot of your remembrance of champions of CEW is Rory Fox in the Not My Champion era. Well, for me, when I came in, Sean Nautilus was deep in his run as champ, and he battled in so many matches. And at Bridge City Slam, he had that fantastic with Donnie Peppercorn, and that was just amazing. So it's really cool. Both these guys are getting that honor of going in the Hall of Fame with the guy I'm speaking with right now is getting honored too. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that either, Zach. Come on.
No, it's not. It's not about me. It's about those two.
I know.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, man. My folks are gonna come down. Obviously, my brother-in-law DJ will be there with me, and unfortunately, my wife's not gonna be able to make it. But I'm gonna have those 3 people there. That's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, it's gonna be talking about Sean Nautilus, dude. That dude had a hell of a championship run. Like, I'll never forget calling the steel cage match between Rory Fox and Storm Thomas. That was one of my most favorite matches I've ever done commentary for. And Sean just fucking comes in there, cleans house at the end and just left there with this feeling of, oh my God, he left there making you feel like he is the next big thing of CEW. And then he just went on this tear basically until that Bridge City Slam where he faced Donnie. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that his last match with Donnie?
Sure was. Yep, sure was. He retired. He made his announcement after the match, and him and Donnie squashed their in-ring beef and paid each other respect, and he walked away since. Hasn't been back since.
Yeah, I actually just came across the ending of that match on my phone one day not that long ago when I was kind of flipping through pictures, and I was like, oh yeah, they had that really rad table spot there kind of right at the end of that matchup to end that one. But yeah, both of those two guys, Storm and Sean, just again the way they carry themselves for CEW.
Funny thing about Sean Nautilus, the year later, he was in the crowd. Like, he has a very distinct voice. And there were times throughout that show I could hear him yelling, cheering, yelling. And during the tag match, he was chanting, "Tag your friend." And I remember that distinctly. I'm like, that's Sean Nautilus's voice. He's somewhere around here. So still being around looking, but yeah, that Donnie Peppercorn match. That's a hell of a way to end out, I think, to end if that is final, if he doesn't ever come back, that's one hell of a match to end with. So
yeah. I mean, it really is, dude. That's going to be something. Let's go back through and talk some more matches. Again, the Hall of Fame ceremony, for those of you guys interested, is Friday night, June 2nd, and those are on sale now. Head over to the Central Empire Wrestling Facebook page, click the ticket link that you'll see in one of the posts there, and you'll be able to get your tickets. I know it does include a meal as well, so that's pretty exciting. It's gonna be a fun night, and yeah, it's kind of fun that it's a whole weekend now, not just one day, and it's a full weekend event, so it's pretty exciting. Let's go ahead, dude, and talk some more matchups here. We have a 6-man tag team matchup. We got Cowboy Bob Orton, Storm Thomas, and Rory Fox on one side going up against Attila Khan, the Candyman, Willie Swede, and Kurt Gannon on the other side. And I know Storm Thomas, when I had talked to him, man, felt a lot of pressure for this one because, he knows Rory's coming back from injury. This is going to be Rory's first match back. We don't know quite how much close to 100% Rory will be. And obviously Cowboy Bob Orton, he's on the latter side of his wrestling career. So I know Storm feels a lot of pressure on his end because he's the one that's been kind of still doing this, kind of full time here. And it's, I'm interested to watch this one play out.
Yeah, this one, it's when you look at the teams in this, you have Storm Thomas, who's going into the Hall of Fame. Rory Fox will be in the CEW Hall of Fame, and then a WWE Hall of Famer. All three of them, amazing careers and everything like that. They're going to be cheered heavily in this match. But then on the opposite side, you have three just nasty guys that are going to want to ruin the day. Would love nothing more to send the fans home unhappy after seeing their heroes lose. Kurt Gannon, the suplex cyclone, he's ready to just throw anybody around the ring. And then Attila Khan, last time we saw him, he was trying to put a fork in Donnie Peppercricket's forehead. And then the Candyman, he's as nasty as they come. CEW fans have gotten to know the Candyman the past year or so, and he just gets meaner and meaner every show. So they're going to be out to prove a point and make some people sad that night against a trio of heroes that are going to be facing them. So it's going to be a good contrast in styles. And like you said, Storm has a lot of pressure on it. It might be self-imposed pressure with not knowing Rory's status, coming back from the injury, and then Cowboy Bob Orton being up there in the little twilight of his career. So it's going to be a fun 6-man tag to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it really is. And I feel like Austin, one thing he's always really done well, he does kind of have, like these multiple person tag team matches that are kind of special attractions. I mean, I think it was last year we had the Bushwhacker Luke match, and they did the fun thing with all the little kids going around.
Jared and Donnie, that was awesome.
That was such a great moment. I had talked to Jared earlier, a few weeks back, about that moment and how fun that was. Yeah, that was just absolute blast. Like, how many kids are going to be able to say that they were able to, do the Bushwhacker?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So my kids were right there doing it, so I know they had class.
Yeah, it was just awesome. Like, Bushwhacker Luke is, how old, and here he is still in the damn ring. Like, holy hell!
He hit a stunner on the Stun Level, for Christ's sake. So that was a cool moment.
Again, just some of the fun things you'll see at Bridge City Slam. And one of the things that I've always loved about it is, you had kind of mentioned the layout of things. I just have always really appreciated how Austin lays that venue out. Like, you kind of start and work your way around. I really think, that like 4 to 7 p.m. is the perfect time frame that if you want to get in and meet everybody, you can. Like, you can get in, get everything signed, run it back out to your car, come back in the venue. That's the other great thing about the Bridgeview Center. They let you run stuff back out and then come back in. And then, you're ready for a night of wrestling by 7 p.m. when the show starts.
Yeah, it's spaced out enough where the lines don't get too crammed. And
yes,
it's enough time where you don't have to hurry. Fans can take their time and meet the wrestlers they want, interact with them. I know there's face painting. I think that'll be back again this year. And so
cool.
A lot of things that people could do.
I know the face painting was a big hit last year. I talked to the gal who did it, and she said she had ended up running out of color paint for us. So hopefully she'll bring some more. But everywhere you turn, some kid had their face painted. So we know it was awesome. And again, it's just a fun thing. And I know past years we've had DVD vendors, if DVDs are still a thing anymore. Wrestling figures and comic books we've had being sold, and I'm sure we're
wrestling
gonna have
figures. My boys drained me of money last year getting wrestling figures. I know about the wrestling figures being there. So.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Another thing too, if you guys want to know, the other thing that I really love that Austin does, he gets you the pricing ahead of time. So if you want to know how much it's going to cost for a picture, an autograph with Kurt Angle, guess what? We have that information for you over on the Central Empire Wrestling Facebook page. Go ahead and click on it, and you'll be able to see all the information there. We got photo prices and combo prices for everybody that's coming: Kurt Angle, Deborah, Jimmy the Mouth of the South, Hart, Bob Orton, and Earl Hebner. And again, that's one thing I've always appreciated, because it's always kind of like, okay, now I know how much money I need to bring, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's I think that's something that Austin's learned over the years, because Austin, like us, he's a fan and he loves to go to these different conventions. So I feel like he takes the best parts of all these other conventions and brings them to his own.
Yep, you nailed it on the head. He goes to a lot of conventions and always seems to have different little tweaks he want to make and make sure that it works out where people have the opportunity to really meet the wrestlers they want and get the pictures they want and do all the fun stuff beforehand before a real kick-ass show rolls out.
Yeah, it's again, it's just a really fun weekend. I know, like I said, we got the Hall of Fame thing set Friday night. We are going to have something extra going on Saturday afternoon. We have not announced that yet, but I know it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be before the podcast that we're going to be doing live. So just keep your eye out for that. We're going to have some more information on that to come, I think, probably by next week from what we were talking about earlier. But yeah, dude, it's exciting. We have another great lineup, and I just lost my dang card. I had all this cards laid out here for me, and now I lost them again. Hold on, let me pull it. So okay, main event. I feel like I'm missing a match somewhere.
Tag title match.
Yes, let's talk the tag title match. We got the Iceman and Donnie Pepper Cricket versus Big Bad Wallace and Rip Studwell with Axel Grease in the corner.
Yeah, Donnie he can't get past these two obnoxious tag team wrestlers. It seems like they're always just nagging Donnie Pepper Cricket, and Wallace and him have their history, and now Rip Studwell, what a pairing that is. It's a perfect pairing. Rip Studwell and Big Bad Wallace. I mean,
and Axel Grease.
And Axel Grease, obviously. You can't forget Axel Grease. That's a trio that just fits like a glove together. And so Donnie's bringing in a good old friend of his to finally dispatch this nefarious trio. And I think he's determined to win the titles and move on from these guys is what I think he's ready to do. He's been feuding with them for a while, and it's been entertaining and everything like that. But Donnie Pepper Cricket's ready to win some tag team titles and move on to the next challenge, I think, after this point.
And, Donnie Pepper Cricket, he is kind of a tag team veteran. He knows how to win tag team gold. He's definitely a tag team. Again, he just knows tag team wrestling. He kind of reminds me in a way of Justin Decent, Justin Decent is another guy that can go and win a tag team title with just about anybody he teams up with. Donnie Pepper Cricket, the exact same. He can pretty much win a tag team title with anybody he teams up with.
Yeah. Yep. And it'll be, those two they're going against, they want to hold on to those tag titles as much as anything. So it'll be interesting to see what schemes they have in their up Axel Grease's sleeves come Bridge City Slam.
Yeah, you always gotta watch out for Axel, because that's a lot of grease. But man, let's move on here. Main event time. This one is gonna be awesome. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. This one is going to be awesome. It's going to be, dare I say, legendary. We got the CEW champion, the longest reigning CEW champion, JT Energy, going up against somebody who's been quite a bit of a belt collector here in the last several months across Iowa and the Midwest. And we're talking about the Buns of Steel, Jay Fowler. And just for this to be in a steel cage is pretty awesome. And one thing I did forget to mention before we actually do, the steel cage will be set up beforehand. And I know we're doing photo opportunities in the ring inside the steel cage. So that's something to keep your eyes on as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. And just going to be, just another fun added addition to Central Empire Wrestling, getting a chance to get your picture taken inside a steel cage. But the main event, man, this is going to be something. JT Energy has been just really represented CEW with pride. You can't deny that. And he's been, again, the longest reigning CEW champion that we've ever had.
Yeah, and it was originally going to be a triple threat with Niles Planquet, but obviously Planquet can't be there. So then when CEW and Austin rolled out the banner for just the singles match, one thing I noticed was somebody in the comments of it said, "Oh, Battle of the Booties 4" or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's a fun little nickname, but they're both so much more than what they were. They're referencing back when it was the Buns of Steel versus the 6-Star Booty. The first show I ever attended with CEW, they wrestled. They wrestled each other. They didn't get a finish because Shawn Nautilus came out and destroyed both of them. It was the 10-year anniversary show. And that's when it was the Battle of the Booties. But since then, I mean, they have both morphed into dynamic professional wrestlers that are so much more than just those gimmicks. They both live this. And to put them into a steel cage in a promotion that they've both come up through and given so much more and been a part of so many things, like you said, it's going to be legendary. It's an iconic moment for them to step into this cage and main event Bridge City Slam. And JT Energy is the longest reigning CEW champion. He holds the title with pride. He's wanting to come out and he's wanting to give the fans the best match and the best show he possibly can. And then Buns of Steel, Jay Fowler, who just returned to CEW last year, that's the one thing he has left to do in CEW, basically, is win the CEW championship. So now it's almost like Austin Rock for CEW at this point. With where they're at in their careers and the things they've both done, they've hit that level where they were on AEW Dark together. They're both hitting that level of, quality in their careers that this match is just huge. It doesn't have to be a blood feud. We don't need to have there doesn't need to be a tense hatred between them two. It's just two guys wanting to show that they're the very best in CEW. That's all you need, for a main event. And I, for one, am stoked to see what these two can do when they get inside that cage together.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. Like I said, Fowler has really collected belts just about everywhere he's gone this year. Yeah. So I think he's up to 3 right now. And if he wins at Bridge City, that would make it 4. Like that's pretty impressive, man. And
on the same side, JT Energy has another title outside there. He's SCW champion too. So
yep.
Like I said, they're both at this level that this main event is one of the top main events in Iowa, I think, this year that we'll see.
Yeah, I think when you do your countdown at the end of the year for your website, I think I think there's 2 or 3 matchups that we're potentially talking about that are going to be in contention for your match of the year. for your top 10 or countdown that you do. I think that's going to be true. One more thing that I wanted to discuss too before we kind of wrap things up here. It was announced earlier this week too. We got the return of one of my favorites, CEW original, Mr. Bo God. I'm excited to see him. He's got a mystery opponent set up to come in. I'm not sure who it is. I'm excited to find out though, but I hope whoever it is ready, because Bo Gott's one of the hardest hitting dudes you will ever see in the ring.
Oh yeah, and he hasn't wrestled in CW I think in 5 years.
Yeah, that surprised me. I was surprised when Austin said it's been since 2018 that he hasn't wrestled in CEW. So yeah, that surprised the heck out of me.
And you've seen it. We've both seen it. When a lot of these guys come back to the promotion where they kind of got their feet wet and started, they come back in with that chip on their shoulder to say, hey, I used to run this place. I used to be a big name in this place. I'm showing that I still got it. So I think he's going to be damn determined to do that come Bridge City Slam. And I think the CEW fans are going to just explode and welcome him back. One of the originals from, his starting point. So it's going to be fun to see for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm super excited for the weekend again. It's all going down Friday, June the 2nd with the Hall of Fame ceremony. Saturday, June the 3rd with the big wrestling event and Fan Fest going on starting at 4 p.m. Get your tickets now for the Fan Fest and wrestling show at Ticketmaster.com. If you're more interested in the Hall of Fame ceremony, get your tickets for that. Or just head over to Central Empire Wrestling Facebook page. You will see you'll see a link for it there, and you can click the link and get your tickets for the Hall of Fame ceremony. So, Clint, before I let you go, man, where can people find you and your work at?
My Facebook page is the Tag Team Photography Dye, and that's the same for Instagram. And then Twitter, I'm at CDye56. I share a lot of stuff on Twitter. Instagram, I'm trying to get more and more involved with, but mainly just through my Facebook page is where a lot of the wrestling stuff goes that I share, along with the Twitter page as well too. So.
And you can catch Clint at ringside with us while we're doing commentary. Clint will be the one running around with the camera and snapping all the photos. So that's gonna be a fun weekend. Friday, June the 2nd, Saturday, June the 3rd. Clint, thanks a lot for coming on the show tonight. You guys, that's gonna do it for us here this week on the Countdown to Bridge City Slam. And until next time, we'll see you right here on the World Wide Web.